I want to ask you real quick about Fargo because I know that you've shared advice that he gave you early in your career about the key to longevity in the business. Can you share that with us again?
You know, Jackie, again, he literally sold tickets. My dad brought him back and he knighted Stan Lane and Steve Kern as the fabulous ones. But his what Jackie always taught me is that a few things. And look, Jackie smoked cigars, drank beer, different era. But when he came to the building, and even in his later years, I mean, I got to do a 6-man tag, couple of this is, and he would say, man, hey man, you staying in the gym, you doing this, you doing that. But he always said, Jeff, figure out the story that needs to be told and do your promo and draw out a picture in the people's mind on what's going to happen or what you hope to happen, or maybe throw in there. He wouldn't use these words, but I'm using it. Kind of throw in there a little fear, what could happen, how you might be put in jeopardy. But he would, in modern day time, Mick Foley does this. John Cena did this. Other guys, Lawler perfected it. All this, but Fargo just kind of had some pillars that create that promo and tell that story. And if you can do that, you're going to have a long career. Also, when you get in the ring, respect your opponent and let the audience know that. But Jeff, when you're down selling, the people got to believe when, as a baby face, and then on the flip side, if you're a heel, the people got to believe that you're going to get up and kick the shit out of them. And he's like, Jeff, the business has changed and evolved. And now this is the mid 80s. And look, on the other channels were Hulk Hogan and Demolition and Axe and Warlord and, Brett and Mark, just the bodies became much more a part of it. And then, he was leaned into heavy. Jeff, tell your story, look the part, and always have the ability. And again, different era, different time, but always have the ability to come back next week and right the wrong.
And you started that career. I can't believe this is real. 38 days. I'm sorry, 38 years and 23 days ago.
That's crazy, Conrad.
Your first match was April of 1986. 38 years and 23 days ago. I mean, that sounds like the beginning of a crazy book, and it's the story of Jeff Jarrett. And maybe what's most interesting is as you flip through the pages and the chapters of the story of Jeff Jarrett, there's no surgeries.
Yeah, for real. What are you doing?
I'm trying not to jinx that, but I'm just saying I'm really impressed by that. And it made me really start asking you questions when you and I first started hanging out. Like when that first clicked for me, it was like, how is that possible? And I realized that you have looked to some alternative methods. You didn't just go down the same, well-beaten path that everybody else did. You've tried some different things. And a lot of that is because you had somebody in your back pocket who knew what to do to help you take care of you. And he's got a product that we're going to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. Well, Jeff, you do the introduction here.
Oh, well, you know what? He's already going to be mad at me because you said have him in my back pocket. Dr. Tim Adair is in nobody's back pocket.
Oh, you know what I mean? I'm just saying it's like your secret sauce. Like more wrestlers need this type of relationship, I think.
Yeah, well, without question, and we're going to bring him on, and I appreciate he is a working, practicing applied kinesiologist, but he is a guy that we started this we'll call it an ad campaign, but it's not that Q3health.com, but I wear my Q3 band every day. But Tim is someone, and at the very end of the day, I'll let him talk about the band, and you ask him whatever question you want career, but the mindset that he got me in about, Conrad, is about 7 or 8 years into my career, is that the light bulb went off. It radically changed my mindset. It fundamentally put me in a completely different position. He said, hey, Jeff, let's not react to situations. Let's figure out preventive maintenance. And so that it has incentivized me. I can't believe that 38 years, 23 or whatever, but it's incentivized me that every day when I get up, if I'm an active wrestler, I gotta do the things on the front end and not react to injuries on the back end. Yes, you got to do that. And we have quite often from time to time, but for the most part, preventive maintenance. And so that is, I've said it a couple of times, and people who know me in my day-to-day life, I call it the three-legged health model. And if you've ever seen a three-legged stool stand up with two, I'd like to see that, because it don't exist. And so Tim preached to me, ingrained in my head over and over and over, Jeff, you have to keep all three. And there's a fourth that's spiritual. But Tim has really helped me with all three, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And what he does as applied kinesiologist is really tackle all three of them. He don't like to attack my emotional stuff. And we'll throw that out. But the Q3 Health does help that. So anyway, without further ado, folks, it is a special time. Literally before we launched the podcast, Conrad asked me, hey, man, do you think Dr. Adair would ever come on? And I said, hey, man, you ask Tim what time it is, he'll tell you how to build a watch. He is never afraid words, but we've got a few minutes today for him to come on and talk about the Q3 Health. And Connie, I'm sure we'll ask a few questions of him. So Marcus, roll in Dr. Adair.
How about it? Welcome to the program, man.
Hey,
How
guys, thank you. What an honor to be on with you guys. And this is a little different than a Monday at lunch for me. So what a treat. But, and Conrad, I know where all the bodies are buried. So you just ask whatever you need to. And, but I do want to change the conversation from Jeff's back pocket talking about stool. So if we could move on from something other than that, that would be fantastic. But I'm glad to be here with you guys.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Tim. And Conrad, I'll let you Conrad, take over.
Well, I wanted to ask because, I know that you have really helped put Humpty Dumpty back together again on more than one occasion. But when I was, trying to keep up with the industry and the business and all that jazz through the newsletters, I learned sort of the tail end of WCW that of all things, Jeff got a really severe concussion during a Jimmy Snuka appearance in WCW. And he came off with the big splash on the cage. He being Snuka, if you know Jeff Jarrett, he ain't climbing and jumping off of no cages. That ain't going to happen. I got that. But Snuka did it, and Jeff got hurt. And I'm curious, do you remember that? Were you with Jeff in that era?
So Conrad, if I can just use this as a therapy session, Jeff has ruined my time off more times than, so I think that night, Jeff, wouldn't we get through with you about 3 a.m.? Yeah. But Jeff told me way back when we started. Jeff, can I tell this story about how long you needed to work and all this stuff?
Okay. Well, let me set it up because Tim likes to shine this turd up. No. So I had got into the business, Conrad, as you know, skinny basketball player. And yes, the whole mindset was, and we've gone through this over and over, I had to put on weight. I had to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So when I went to the WWF in 93, I weighed like 242. I had more whey protein in me than should be humanly possible. I had that car wreck, got banged around. And so my L4 and L5 were constantly bulging. I had sciatica. I had all kind of those issues, and I worked through it. It was what it was, but I knew that, okay, man, I'm getting banged around. This hurts, and I'm staying this heavy. I had no idea about. I didn't really. I knew I needed to work out and eat good, but my dietitian was Scott Steiner, and he said eat eggs and steaks. All this. So anyway, that's when me and Tim started working together in the mid-90s. And that was, I think 238 the first time I went into Tim's office. I weigh 223, 224 now. So go ahead, Tim.
Yeah. So back when Jeff came in, and Conrad, the first time I met Jeff, I didn't even know what color his eyes were. He was bent over like this. I just saw the top of his head, and he came walking into the office. And I had an 80-year-old man that actually passed him in the hallway. He was struggling so bad, but he was really dinged up. And he looked at me and he goes, I got to be in New York the next day in the ring. And I'm thinking, oh, well, thank you for the 17 minutes that you've given me to fix this, but wow, are you joking? And so he let me do and gave me carte blanche. And I have to tell you this, Jeff is an absolute taskmaster. if you show him what to do, he is one of the best I have ever seen on working the process. And so all I ever had to do with Jeff is teach him the process and then take off the handcuffs. He's fantastic. And to this day, I would imagine your morning schedule is the same every single day and you're working your process, right? And there's a beauty to that. And you can do a lot with an athlete who's got those habits. But he told me, whatever you want me to do, whatever I'm in until you prove me wrong, but you're not going to adjust my neck. And then we met this guy named Mr. Jimmy Superfly Snuka that came flying off and gave Jeff whiplash when he hit him. And his neck wrenched and he threw his neck out so bad he got a massive concussion. And a couple hours into it, literally Jeff's pain scale, he's tough as nails, but his pain scale was like, are we going to have to take him to the hospital and get a hole drilled in his head, or are we going to be able to fix this here? And he let me adjust his neck at 3:00 in the morning. We got his headache to go away, and he recovered from that and moved on. But that was a monumental time in our time together. He about fired me.
My goodness. Well, listen, we know that Jeff has figured out the code. He's cracked the code for longevity in wrestling. And a lot of that is because of your expertise. And you've got a new product that our listeners can enjoy. They don't have to be a professional wrestler. This works for just everyday folks who want to be stronger and healthier and biologically younger by 1 to 15 years. And it's all possible just by wearing this Quantum 3 energy technology. Tell us about it.
Conrad, that sounds crazy. Are you sure you're telling the truth?
I think I am. I'm pretty sure.
So I got some bad. I'm a visual teacher, so you guys please overlook me. But I got a little whiteboard, and I am not the artist in my family. But one of the other doctors that Jeff has done some really good work with, and maybe you guys should have him on here one day, Jeff. We've got a friend. His name's Dr. Alex, and he's probably the top clinical psychologist in the world, and he does a bunch of peak performance. Back in the early years, do you remember, Jeff, when we had the homeopathic machine where we did imprinting? Yeah. So Conrad, what Jeff calls cornbread knowledge here, every disease has a wavelength. Okay. So it has a mountain and a valley. And so if you can figure out how to cancel out that wavelength, you can stop some part of that process from having a negative effect on you. And so one of the things the Q-band does is it prevents the Wi-Fi and 5G and all that stuff from bombarding us. But that's one of the least things that the Q-band does. And so I got to see you guys' little thing that you cut last week. And Jeff's excited because when he's lifting in the gym, he's getting a couple more reps. He's getting a little more stamina with what he's doing. You can feel those things. On the website, we got pro golfers hitting 25 yards longer. We got people doing 3 more push-ups than their lifetime best. We got all that stuff. But here's the thing, guys. I'm a physician. I have a state license. I can't say, do this because it works. I can't tell you, oh, I just feel better. I'm not the feel-good guy. That's Dr. Alex. I'm the nuts and bolts guy. Dr. Alex is our mental health guy, and this stool thing that we got to get rid of for Jeff. I don't know what he's talking about doing stool checks. I don't do stool analysis. I do something called a triangle. And so my dynamic, and I'm gonna get my whiteboard back, is our triangle has 3 sides. One side is structure, one is chemistry, and one is emotional. Okay, so if I can get 1 more rep, 3 more reps, more oxygen, I'm helping my structure. If I have less anxiety, less of an adrenal reaction, less cortisol production, I'll have less inflammation, I'll sleep better, I'll repair better, I'm helping my chemistry. And if I have less anxiety, Dr. Alex is really the expert on the emotional side of the triangle. He was actually endorsed by Bruce Lipton, the top cellular molecular biologist from Stanford Medical School, Alex's work. So we're helping emotional from a wavelength standpoint. And if you have those 3 sides of the triangle, we're increasing health a lot. But I would love to tell you guys in a few minutes about some of the research. So feel free to interrupt me and tell me what you want me to tell, but I would love to give you the why of why everybody should protect himself.
Well, yeah, let's hear it, man. I mean, I think most people have heard the term grounding or earthing, and I think that's a big thing that this bracelet helps. It helps you not get stressed and not be negatively affected by a great majority of environmental toxins. And you have more energy all the time, significantly more energy, significantly better sleep, a much higher immune system that's going to be functioning. So less sickness and disease will slow you down, and just a better emotional well-being. Peak performance is what we're talking about here, right, Doc?
Conrad, did you play high school football?
I did. Yes, sir.
Were you ever at the bottom of a pile up with 8 knuckleheads stacked on top of you?
Many times.
Okay. Could you take a deep breath?
It's challenging at times in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, red blood cells are like high school football players. If they're all stacked in there real close together, none of them work very well because they got 3 knuckleheads squishing them together. And so soon as you put on the Q band, your red blood cells separate. Okay. Let me get my little whiteboard out here because I want you guys to see this. So let's go here. See the little blue cell there? That's the guy who's stuck in the middle. That's where most of us are day in, day out. But if you'll look at the other little diagram here where everything's spread apart, when those red blood cells spread apart, they give oxygen to every tissue. And so this is not my opinion. This is on our website. There's something called dark field electron microscopy. And you actually see the red blood cells like separate out and then start moving really fast. Now, this is why I got into the Q3 band. Conrad, I had a really wicked case of COVID. I never took any time off. I was treating patients that were sick the whole time. So I had 25 people a day cough on me for 2 years. And I eventually got really significant COVID. And so I had to wear that little thing on my finger to see what my oxygen was. I was on oxygen for 17 days and I had a really hard time getting my stamina back. I was in pretty good shape before COVID. This is what got my pulse ox normal. This is what probably saved my marriage because I quit snoring when I got my oxygen back up, and I'd wake up with mom in the bed instead of in the guest room. And so it's amazing how much clearer your head is and how much better you feel when you're breathing normally and you're getting lots of oxygen at night. But we can prove that with pulse ox. We can prove that with dark field electron microscopy, and both of those are on the website.
Check it out. It's q3health.com. That's the letter Q, the number 3, health.com. Go right now and get your wearable stress cancellation band at a very special friend of Double J price. It's only $65. Now, this is a limited time offer because this is normally a $200 product.
Hey, Conrad, can I tell you something on that? We've had tens of thousands of those that have been sold for $200. So this actually is a thing for Jeff. And then just so you guys know there's some math involved with the Q3. Have you got a few minutes for me to tell you some more about the QV? Sure. Everybody who's got these little rings that go to their phone and like measure their heart rate variability and their blood pressure and their respiration rate and all that stuff. All that's great. But in science, if you want to prove something, you want to prove it with what's called heart rate variability. And so if my HRV goes up, then I'm getting healthier. If I I love for the monitored patients who come see me to come into my office and get a treatment because their HRV gets better. They know when they come see me, wow, my HRV on my app got way better. So anything that's good for you increases your HRV. By the way, when you drink a little bit and you have a little alcohol, your HRV goes way down. And so one of the reasons why people benefit from the Q bands is they're erasing some of their sins at the bar. What's the saying, Jeff? To be the man, you have to wear the band. Is that the?
I told you.
So the heart rate variability is a scientific increase on that. But this is what's amazing. So I run around with one of these all the time. But when you wear the Q band, even when you've drank nothing, your specific gravity in your urine gets better. You get more hydrated without drinking, because your cells open up to water because it's H2. Help me, Conrad. H2. And this thing makes you increase oxygen, which helps every single cell in your body to heal. So if you're addicted to oxygen, the Q3 band is for you. And it's all math, whether you've had 2 wives, 2 lives, 5 children, 12 steps, you got scholarships, tuition, you got retirement, you got second mortgage, your world. We've all got our stuff. But let me tell you the real math. The real math is we've got 6 chips, and they all have to be imprinted for 8 days. There's no shortcut. When you get those 6 chips, and Jeff, this thing is attractive, but it's not a magnet. Okay.
I know.
That's okay. 6 chips, 8 days. But when you get them programmed, they never burn out. The first ones of these that came off the line 4 or 5 years ago are still working. Now, I could tell you how, but I'd have to kill you. And so that's proprietary. But the fact of the matter is, as soon as you put one of these on, in 2 minutes, your dark field electron microscopy gets better. Your HRV gets better. Your pulse ox gets better. Your drive with your iron gets better. Everything gets better. Now, am I making less cortisol? Absolutely, because now I'm oxygenated. And here's the thing. I tell people this a lot of times. They'll say, hey, well, my granny or whatever would like to come in to see you, but we have to get a ride from the old folks home, or we have to. And I'll say, you know what? Here's the thing. Everybody needs oxygen, and the older we're getting, the more oxygen we're not. Our microcirculation fades. If I give granny one of these for the cost of one office visit, the cost of one office visit is what we've got these down to now. You can get benefits with your structure, your chemistry, and your emotional health. You can raise your HRV, your oxygen, all for the cost of an office visit. Isn't that amazing?
It's unbelievable. And the idea that we're getting that special price right now, I know it won't last forever. Hurry right now. Take control of your physical and mental stress today and go to q3health.com. That's the letter Q, the number 3, health.com. It's only $65. It's normally $200. This will not last. Pick it up, man. You too could wrestle 38 years and 23 days. My goodness.